After his recent buffs, Octane can now heal through damage, tank shots with Fortified, and still move faster than every other legend in Apex. Here's how to actually use that to wipe squads. Let's stim right in. Before we get into Octane's actual kit, you need to understand why he abuses the Skirmisher passives better than almost any other legend in the game. The first Skirmisher passive is Care Package Insight. Now as a Skirmisher, Octane can scan care packages to see exactly what the highest value weapon is. Also, when you scan a care package, you and your teammates also gain Evo Shield points. It means you're not gambling rotations anymore. You instantly know if a package is worth contesting, and you get free shield progress just for checking it. The second Skirmisher passive is Charge Knock, and this one is broken. Whenever you secure a knock, you start to regen health and shields. It starts with your HP first, then your shield if your HP is high enough, and it only stops if you take damage. Now imagine this in Octane. You win a trade, your HP is low, you get the knock, and Charge Knock activates. And Octane's Swift Mend passive is already healing you in the background, then you armor swap, bam, full HP, full shields, without touching a single battery or medkit. And in multi-enemy fights, it's often better to go for the knock instead of stopping the heal. You're literally gaining HP and shields by doing damage. That's why Octane can chain fights in ways other legends simply can't. The third Skirmisher passive is TRAILBLAZER. Now if your teammates are running toward you from a long distance, they gain a speed boost, and you'll see an icon next to their name when it's active. And let's be honest, if you're playing Octane, you're almost always going to be ahead of your team. TRAILBLAZER helps your squad regroup faster, rotate cleaner, and follow up on pushes without getting split, because your teammate can actually keep up with your pace. Moving on to Octane's first passive, Swift Mend. Now Swift Mend automatically restores Octane's health over time, and after recent buffs, this passive is no longer slow or sluggish. In Season 27, Swift Mend was massively improved. Base healing was increased from 1.5 health per second to 3, and the lower your HP is, the faster Swift Mend heals you, meaning at max scaling, it can heal up to 9 HP per second. That's a huge jump. That means you almost never really need to carry medkit anymore. After a trade, your health starts climbing immediately. If you're low, it starts climbing even faster. The old version of Swift Mend felt like it barely healed you. This one feels responsive, aggressive, and built for non-stop pressure. Swift Mend turns Octane into a legend that's constantly recovering while moving. And once we pair this up with his tactical, you'll see why Octane now can reset fights faster than almost anyone in the game. So, moving on to Octane's tactical, Stim. Now at its core, Stim is an injection that boosts your movement speed for 6 seconds. Walk speed is increased by 30%, and sprint speed is increased by 40%. It normally costs 20 health to use. You see, that's the version that everyone already knows. After the recent buffs, Stim is no longer just one ability. Octane now has 2 stims, and understanding this is what separates average Octanes from terrifying ones. If you activate Stim again while it's already active, Octane uses a new mixture called Stim Surge, and this version is completely different. Now here's what Stim Surge does. It lasts 6 seconds, costs 0 health to use, it reapplies the full Stim speed boost for the entire duration, it has its own 20-second cooldown separate from the normal Stim, it grants Fortified, reducing incoming damage by 15%, it makes you immune to bullet slow, and it triggers Swift Mend ASAP, allowing it to keep healing you even while you take damage. Now you can also hold the tactical button to automatically activate Stim Surge instead of the regular Stim, or tap the tactical again while already stimmed. So effectively, Octane now has Stim 1, your regular speed boost, and Stim 2, a god tier surge that makes you faster, tankier, and actively healing through damage. Now this is what turned Octane from fast into nearly unkillable when played correctly. On top of Stim Surge, Octane also received some huge quality of life buffs. The delay before you can reuse Stim was reduced from 1.8 seconds to 0.7, and Stim movement was increased by an additional 5%. And while stimmed, Octane can now sprint and use consumables at the same time. No, this one was massive. You can now heal while moving at inhuman speeds, bringing back the OG bunny hop heal playstyle. And even if you don't bunny hop, just sprinting while healing is still insanely strong. Now before we break down the techs, here's one simple rule that you need to understand, because every tech from here on out is built upon this. When I say 1, this means your regular Stim. When I say 2, this is your Stim Surge, the god tier one. I'll be calling these out directly in the tech names like the 1 push, 2 push, or 2 push, 1 escape. So if you understand the system now, the rest of the guide becomes effortless to follow, because there are 8 different ways to use Octane's tactical. The first way to use Octane's tactical is the 1 push, 2 push. This works incredibly well in multi-enemy fights. You use your regular Stim to take space and knock the first enemy, Then you pop your Stim Surge to immediately move on to the next enemy while you're tankier and healing through the damage. It's also extremely strong for clean 1v1s. If you're about to take a straight fight and you want every advantage possible, activating Stim Surge mid-fight gives you fortified and extra speed, which often guarantees a knock if your aim is solid. And it's perfect for closing distance safely. Use your regular stim to rotate or push across open space, then save Stim Surge for the actual fight. That way you're not wasting your strongest stim just to run. You're using it exactly when the damage starts coming in. This is the foundation of Octane's new playstyle. You move with Stim 1 and you fight with Stim 2. The second way to use Octane's tactical is the 1 push 2 escape. This is all about prioritizing your stims correctly. You want to use your regular stim for pushes and pressure, and save Stim Surge for the escape. That way if a fight starts going bad, you still have your strongest stim available to disengage instantly. When you escape with Stim Surge, you're faster, fortified, and actively healing through damage, which makes it incredibly hard for enemies to chase or punish you. And once you pop Stim 2, you can pop a battery while sprinting, fully reset, and re-challenge a fight faster than most players can even heal. That's how Octane wins fights twice. This also means you don't always need a Stim Surge to push. If you're taking an advantage fight like a 2v1 with a teammate, your regular stim is often more than enough. Save Stim Surge for when things go wrong, because when you always have an escape, you can play aggressively without throwing. The third way to use Octane's tactical is the 2 push. Now this is your go-to option, and if all else fails, this one can never hurt. You use Stim Surge immediately to take the fight with maximum speed, fortified damage reduction, and healing through damage. Now this is perfect for disadvantaged fights when you truly need the extra power, like 1v2s or even 1v3s, situations that demand a stronger stim. It's also incredibly strong when you're very low on HP. That boost in healing speed combined with fortified damage reduction can clutch fights you should not survive. And honestly, there's something genuinely satisfying about popping Stim Surge in fights. You feel faster, tankier, and for a few seconds, unstoppable. The fourth way to use Octane's tactical is the 2 push 1 cycle. Now think of this like cycling unlimited stims with near full health. You open the fight with Stim Surge, and when it runs out, you immediately fall back to your regular stim. And by the time your regular stim is ending, Stim Surge is already coming back off the cooldown. You cycle it again. Because Swiftman is healing you the entire time while you're moving, your HP is constantly climbing in the background. If you time this correctly, you're fighting at near full health while stimming almost non-stop. This also works incredibly well in large-scale rotations where you just need 24/7 stims to cover huge distances without ever slowing down. Now here's a pro tip. Since regular stim damages you, there's an old school Octane tech that's still useful in certain situations. If you pop a medkit, then right before it finishes, activate your regular stim, you'll cancel the self-damage and come out at full HP with your stim already active. It's an OG trick before Stim Surge, so you won't use it every fight, but in clutch moments, it can still give you a clean instant entry without sacrificing your health. The fifth way to use Octane's tactical is Mantle Boost Stims. Now this one gives you ridiculous velocity. It's basically the old Stim Super Glide from previous seasons, but it's now even stronger because you can hit this 100% of the time without failure. When you hit this correctly, you can get some absolutely disgusting kills, and most players simply cannot track how fast you're moving. And Mantle Boost Stims doesn't just work going forward. In fact, you can Mantle Boost sideways as well, which completely breaks enemies' ankles and makes you feel genuinely untrackable in close range fights. Now this is your bread and butter combo. If you practice this consistently, it will genuinely change how your games feel. And on top of that, it's not just a fight tool. Stim plus Mantle Boost also lets you rotate farther, cross larger gaps, and reach positions most legends simply can't, except VALKYRIE of course, giving you speed, pressure, and positioning all at once. The sixth way to use Octane's tactical is Speedy Strafes and Slides. Now this is all about being aware of your stim speed during fights. While you're stimmed, instead of standing still or slow peeking, strafe left or right while shooting. That extra speed makes you insanely difficult to track, even for players with good aim. You're not just harder to hit, you're forcing missed shots, breaking crosshair placement, and winning trades simply because enemies can't keep up. And the same idea applies to slides. When you combine a slide with stim speed, you carry way more momentum, letting you reposition faster, swing wider angles, or slide past cover before enemies can react. Used correctly, Speedy Strafes and Slides turns Octane into a moving target that's almost impossible to lock on in close range fights. You're not relying on flashy movement here, you're abusing raw speed to win you your gunfights. And the seventh way to use Octane's tactical is something I like to call a ring medkit. Now if your HP is low, you can use Stim Surge as an emergency medkit. But here's the cool thing, you can do this in the ring. Even while taking storm damage, Stim Surge triggers Swift Mend, and Swift Mend still heals you through the storm. So instead of stopping to heal or panicking, you just stim and keep moving. And because Octane can heal while running, you can even pop a syringe at the same time to recover HP even faster, something almost no other legend can do. Now the 8th and final way to use Octane's tactical is for chasing. Now with back-to-back stims, especially Stim Surge, no one can outrun you. If someone cracks and tries to disengage, you don't let them reset. You stim, you stay on them, and you finish the fight before they can even heal. Very few legends can actually escape an Octane that commits to a chase. And that's how you turn damage into kills instead of letting fights drag out. Moving on to Octane's ultimate, Jump Pad. Octane deploys a jump pad that catapults anyone who uses it through the air. And if you press jump again mid-air, you get a double jump to launch even further. Simple on paper, but after the recent buffs, Jump Pad is way more flexible than before. You can now change directions on the second jump pad by default, no perk required. And on top of that, older perks were baked straight into the base kit. Jump Pad now has 2 charges, and it has much better handling when double jumping. And one of the biggest quality of life buffs is that jump pads are now usable immediately after hitting the ground. All of this turns Jump Pad from a simple movement tool into a fight starter, escape button, and rotation tool all in one. And because of these buffs, there are 6 different ways to use Octane's Jump Pad effectively. The first way to use a Jump Pad is for pushing. It's great for pushing up on a team and starting a fight quickly. Instead of running in and taking damage while closing distance, you throw the pad and launch straight at them, which immediately puts pressure on the enemy. It also lets you move fast between enemies. Say if a team is split, you can cut the gap, take a quick 1v1, and finish the fight before the rest of the squad can respond. This removes a lot of dead time when pushing and makes your entries feel cleaner and safer. You're getting into the fight with momentum, not slowly walking in and hoping for the best. The second way to use Jump Pad is for defense. If an enemy is pushing you in a predictable way, you can throw your Jump Pad towards them. When they hit it, it launches them straight up in the air and immediately breaks their push. That gives you time to heal, reposition, or even shoot them while they're airborne, on your terms instead of theirs. You can also use it to cut off angles like doors, hallways, or choke points, stopping the push entirely and taking control of the space. Used correctly, Jump Pad turns aggressive enemy pushes into a free reset, or an easy punish. The third way to use Jump Pad is for escaping. Now if a team is behind you, Jump Pad lets you get out immediately. And if you create enough distance, you can reset, heal, and even turn around to fight again. It's also huge for getting out of the ring. You pad, cover ground fast, and don't get stuck slow walking while burning heals. Now here's a simple trick while escaping. The moment you hit the jump pad, you can pop a shield cell mid-air. You land with it already finished, throw another pad, pop another cell, and you keep moving. You're healing without ever stopping, and if someone chases you, well, that's usually a mistake on their end. You can shoot them mid-air while they're flying at you, or land, pre-aim, and beam them as soon as they hit the ground. Jump Pad doesn't just give you a way out, it lets you reset and punishes anyone who follows. The fourth way to use Jump Pad is for rotating. Now Jump Pad is great for large-scale rotations across the map, especially now that you have 2 jump pads, each with their own double jumps. That lets you cover a surprising amount of distance without having to walk everything out. Is it as strong as Valkyrie's ult for rotations? No, but it's more than enough to move your team quickly, cross open areas, and reposition without getting stuck running through bad space. Used correctly, Jump Pad keeps your team moving and out of trouble, without slowing the game down. The fifth way to use Jump Pad is a melee trick. If you melee right as soon as you hit the jump pad, you'll go straight up instead of getting launched forward. This is really useful when you want instant height. For example, you can use it to take a roof, a ledge, or high ground directly above an enemy without overshooting the position. This one's definitely niche, but when you need quick vertical control on demand, it can make the difference between getting caught or winning the fight. The sixth way to use Jump Pad is to rescue. Now if a teammate gets knocked in a bad spot, you can throw your jump pad and let them use it while they're down. This lets you pull them out of danger instantly instead of trying to revive them in the open. Once they land somewhere safer, you can get the revive off without pressure, and sometimes save a fight that would have been unwinnable. It's simple, but in clutch moments, this can be the difference between losing a teammate or staying in the game. Now a neat little trick is that you can actually bounce stuff off Octane's jump pad. This includes grenades, tacticals, or Octane's other jump pad itself. Meaning you can throw your first pad down and throw your second pad and it'll bounce off the first jump pad. This can make for some pretty cool plays, such as helping out your team that's in a bad spot. Moving on to Octane's perk choices, starting with level 2. At level 2, the first option is Thick Skin. This reduces the health cost of your regular stim from 20 down to 10. The biggest benefit here is that you can spam stims far more often without worrying about losing huge chunks of HP. That means more aggressive pushes, more repositioning, and way more pressure, without constantly stopping to heal. This is a very self-focused perk, and for most Octane players, that's exactly what you want. The second level 2 option is Squad Rush. When you and your teammates use your jump pad, everyone gets a stim when they land. The key benefit here is that you land already stimmed at full HP, without having to pop any stims or take any self damage. Just keep in mind, this perk only works when you use a jump pad, so it's much more about team utility than personal power. It's great for coordinated pushes, but outside of jump pad plays, it doesn't really do much for you. That's why most of the time, Thick Skin ends up being the better and more consistent pick. Now moving on to level 3 perks, the first option is Daredevil. Now this gives you two major benefits. First, it increases the duration of your Stim Surge the lower your HP is. So the more damaged you are, the longer you stay faster, tankier, and harder to kill. Take a look at this example. On the left is full HP Stim Surge, and on the right is low HP Stim Surge, which lasts way longer, giving you more time to stay tanky, stay fast, and chain kills while on the move. Now the second benefit is just as important. You get fast reloads on shield cracks, and this applies even when you're not stimmed, so it's always active. That makes Daredevil incredible for back-to-back kills, chaining fights, and applying non-stop pressure, especially with how fast Octane already plays. The second level 3 option is Triple Jump. This gives you an extra jump when using your jump pad, and since you already have 2 jump pads, it ends up being 6 total double jumps. Now this one's very useful for large map rotations, especially in ranked where safe movement matters. But for Octane specifically, it doesn't really add much to his combat power. That's why most of the time, I personally prefer Daredevil. It directly buffs Octane's strongest playstyle, fighting fast, staying aggressive, and winning messy engagements. Now let's talk about the recommended amps for Octane. The first one is Power Booster, and this is still one of the strongest amps in the entire game. Normally with Power Booster, every knock gives you a tactical charge, but in Octane, this unfortunately does not give you a free Stim Surge. However, Power Booster still cuts Stim Surge's cooldown from 20 seconds down to about 12, which is basically half. On top of that, you also get your jump pads much faster. Now what this means in real fights is simple. You can prioritize Stim Surge way more often instead of relying on regular Stim. You're faster, tankier, and healing through damage more frequently, which makes Octane feel insanely aggressive and fluid. If you like running and gunning non-stop, Power Booster is a top tier pick. The second option is Overflow Healer, and this one pairs beautifully with Octane's kit. You can be at 1 HP, pop a single shield cell, and a few seconds later, you're basically back to full. That's because the cell slowly handles your shields while Swiftman is rapidly healing your HP in the background. It's essentially a Phoenix kit, but way faster, and you stay mobile the entire time. The third option is Bottomless Batteries, and with this amp, you only need to carry 2 batteries to have effectively unlimited bats. And since Octane already heals his own HP passively, you don't really need to carry any medkits at all. That makes Octane the only legend in the game who can have infinite healing while using almost no backpack space. 2 batteries, 1 slot, unlimited value. Now let's talk about Octane's recommended loadouts. Normally I tell you to balance close, mid, and long range, but Octane is the exception. With Octane, you really only need to carry close range weapons because his entire kit is built around speed, pressure, and getting right on top of enemies. Weapons like the RE45, R99, and Alternator are perfect for this. They shred up close, and Octane's movement makes them even harder to play against. Shotguns also work extremely well in Octane. Once you're stimmed and flying into fights, you're constantly forcing close range engagements where shotguns thrive. The faster you close the gap, the more value you get out of these weapons, and that's exactly how Octane is meant to be played. Now Octane is great, no question, but if you want something even stronger, even more versatile, and honestly, one of the best legends in the game right now, that's Valkyrie. If you haven't watched it yet, click here for my complete guide to mastering Valk. Her movement is in a completely different level, and unlike Octane, she doesn't just have speed, she has movement, recon, and fight control all in one kit. Watch that guide, and I wouldn't be surprised if you walk away with a brand new main. I'll see you there.